little different than all the rest. I'm quite old-fashioned, wear a hat, sometimes play chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling.
Bonjour, hello, it's Janice in France. Thank you so much for joining me, and I also want to tell you thank you for watching my video about my finances. I know some of you probably found it's a little much. I had a lot of people say, oh, you're rich. No, I'm not. But anyway, it's just the way I choose to spend my money. One thing I did want to tell you though is, I don't know if you saw the little banner that Mary Grace put down at the bottom, and I'm gonna have to tell her to make it bigger because our little eyes are not as good as they used to be. I gave you two balances, one, and then I put the 250, and that's what my monthly telephone bill is. Now there's a reason that it's like that, and it will go down, but for right now, that's what it is. So anyway, thank you so much for watching it, and if you haven't watched it, you might get a big kick out of it, but you better hold on to your chair because you might be very surprised. But just been filming and filming and filming, but today I want to talk to you about something that we don't really talk about, and that's eating out. When you come to Paris, how do you eat? What is the French etiquette? It is not the same as in the United States. You know, when I taught school, we were given 30 minutes for lunch, but that didn't count the 5 minutes that you had to take the children to the lunchroom, and then the 5 minutes to go back and get your food heated up and everything. And then you had to go back and pick up the kids. So I would say we probably got about 18 to 20 minutes to eat in. So I was always like, you know, for 25 years, eating really fast. So I was always used to eating fast, and sometimes even doing my work while I'm eating, if I wasn't able to go to the lounge that day and have a great conversation with some of the wonderful teachers that I worked with. So I've always been a quick eater, a fast eater, and then of course come along, you know, all the fast food places, and that just suited me fine, you know, because it kind of went along with my tempo. But then when you come to Paris, it's a little different. Their etiquette is quite different from ours, and you need to just kind of, put the brakes on, take a deep breath, slow down. And one of the things you'll learn when you come to France and you go out to eat is they don't put their elbows on the table like we don't either, but they put their hands on the table. They don't put their hands in their lap. Now that has been very difficult for me because I'm used to putting my left hand in my lap on my napkin and eating with my right hand. So that's a little different. Now, another thing, there is this sandwich called croque madame. No, let me say it again. Croque madame and croque monsieur. And one of them has an egg and one of them doesn't. And it's ham and cheese, and they are just the best. And when you eat them, you don't pick them up with your fingers. You eat them with a knife and a fork. Yep, you eat them with a knife and a fork. You eat your French fries with a fork. And if you want to dip them in mayonnaise, which I love, you take your fork and you dip them in the mayonnaise, not with your little fingers. And let's say you're going for pizza. Knife and fork for pizza. It's just the way it's done. Now, I'm not going to say anyone's going to come up to you and go, put that down. You can't do it like that. But the etiquette is to eat it with a fork and a knife. And because number one, we're not in a hurry. And I've seen people in the States take their pizza and double it over and bite it. No, that's not done here. They eat pizza with a fork and a knife. And it's one of those times that when you're sitting with someone at dinner, you don't have your phone out. You're not looking through for your text. You're not emailing people. You're listening, you're having a conversation, and you're spending time, and you're not in a hurry. You're enjoying your meal, and you're enjoying the company. Some restaurants in the States, you just seat yourself. But here, you wait, and you wait till they seat you. it's just not necessarily etiquette, it's just being polite because you don't know if they have a server for that area. It's just more polite to just stop and say, you know what, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna chill out and let them sit me where I want to be seated or where they want me to be seated. One thing you need to know, if you want to sit outside, you will have to sit with people that are smoking cigarettes, possibly. But you need to be aware that if you do sit outside, that there are going to be people that can smoke outside. They are prohibited from smoking on the inside. So if you are allergic to smoke or it really, really bothers you, then just make sure you ask when you are seated that you would like to sit inside. And if it's a pretty sunny day and you want to sit outside, then go ahead and sit outside. But no, there may be someone that sits near you or maybe down 2 or 3 tables and the wind blows this way of smoke. So just be aware of that. And then another thing, this one just drives me nuts. When you get ready to leave and you need to pay your bill, either you leave in enough time or you pay attention to your clock and go, oh my gosh, we only have 10 minutes to get there. Le garçon, I need, no, don't do that. Time your dinner so that you can look over to your waiter and go, l'addition, s'il vous plaît, and smile. They'll be there eventually. They bring over the little machine, you tap your little credit card on it, and you know what I just learned the other day? If it gives you the option of US money or euros, take the euros because it will give you a better discount in the conversion than if you were to say US dollars. I just learned that the other day and I've been here for 3 years. So just make sure you time your dinner or your lunch so that you're not in a hurry, so that you're not going to be rushing someone else because it really isn't their fault that you didn't time your dinner or your lunch, right? It's just being thoughtful, being kind. Got it? Okay. Another thing is, they do now allow you to take away. Now, if you're going to a restaurant that it's going to cost you about $200 a plate, I would not even ask for it. But if you're going to a really laid-back restaurant, I'd ask for the takeaway bag if you want to. I've never done that, but they would prefer you to do that than to leave it and the food be wasted. So they won't frown upon you for asking. Another thing is, make sure if you want tap water, you let them know. They don't mind. In fact, sometimes they will even offer it for you. And I will tell you a little secret. If you like your Perrier or your bottled water with bubbles in it, that is called gas. And if you don't want those bubbles, you'll say no gas. And that way they'll know not to give you the Perrier with the bubbles. I happen to like the bubbles myself, but let them know. Also, one other thing. When you get ready to order, know what you're going to order. Don't let the server come over and you're sitting there going, I don't know. It may be between this or that. I just really can't. They're busy. They are busy. So unless you're the only one there, but you know what? I still wouldn't do it because we're going back to having manners. You know, have manners. Be nice, be kind, say bonjour, say s'il vous plaît. You know, just use a little bit of thought process when it comes to doing it, because it really will make a difference on how that server sees you and your experience. When it comes to tipping, we all know that we don't have to tip. They get a large enough amount of pay that they're not required to ask for a tip, and you certainly don't have to tip them. And it's a little different than it is in the States. Carry around some change with you and you give them some change for their tip. They can't put the tip on the card like we can in the States. And just be aware of those little items. Now, let me tell you what happened to me the other day. David and I, my friend that just flew in the other day from Chicago, has been visiting. We sat down to have some hot chocolate. We'd been filming that morning and it was cold and we wanted to film in the restaurant. I thought, let's just have some hot chocolate. I always go to Hotel Napoleon to have my hot chocolate, but I always go into the other area where the red velvet is, but we felt like the light was better on the outside, so we thought we'll film outside, and the weather was gorgeous, just cold. And the woman waited on us, and it was delightful. She was delightful, but we got kind of like watered down chocolate, kind of like Nestle's Quick type thing, heated up. It was horrible. And here I just got through telling David, this is the best hot chocolate you'll have the whole time you're here. And it was not very good at all. So what happened is, I guess they have something different in the restaurant, and then they have something different in the bar area. So the gentleman in the bar that always waits on me walks through and he says hello to me, and I said hello, and I said, you won't believe. I said, we ordered hot chocolate. I said, it was terrible. And now, if I had not known him, I wouldn't have said that to him. But I said, it was just terrible. It wasn't like yours. So he said, oh, I'm so sorry, and he walked away, and David and I began talking. In about 3 or 4 minutes, he walked up with this pitcher, tea pitcher, closed up with hot chocolate, thick, like he always does. And he said, Madame, here's your hot chocolate, and it's on me. And I thought, oh my gosh, how sweet of him to do that. So it just pays to be kind. It really does. And it was so nice. And it wasn't it wasn't a reflection on the lady. She has a different kitchen than he does. So she made the hot chocolate the way she knew best. So it had nothing to do with her. But it was so kind of him to do that for me, and I really did appreciate it. Now, another thing that is a little different here than it is in the United States, you don't walk around with food in your mouth. You don't walk around with a sandwich in your hand, and you don't walk around with coffee from Starbucks walking down the street. It isn't done. Now, you will see me sometimes with my thin little thermos, and I'll be taking it with me, and I have my coffee, but it's early in the morning, and I do it, but I don't normally do it very much, and I never eat, never eat while I'm walking down the street. It's just not done. Now, I don't think it's done in the States as much either because we have cars, but normally you don't eat on the train and you don't drink on the train because they don't want a mess, they don't want spillage. So just using common sense. But you don't see people walking down the street like you do in the States. Now let me talk to you about a baguette. There are different types of baguettes, but I like the kind with a little point on the end. That's just my favorite. Now, if I'm having company come over, I will not buy a baguette that morning when I go to the store. I will wait and go about an hour before I have my company come over. I'm not going to let that baguette sit there all day. And I will only put butter out if I know that there are Americans at my table. If there are non-Americans at my table, there will be no butter. And if you're waiting for butter at the restaurant, when you go and you have a basket full of bread, don't ask for it. Don't look for it. It isn't happening. The only time they have butter is during the morning at breakfast. So they don't eat butter on their bread like we do. But if you're going to someone's home, you're not going to look for it or ask for it there either. But if you're having it yourself at your home, of course you can have butter. And you can offer it to your guest, whatever you want to do. But beware, when you go to a restaurant, Please don't ask them for butter because they're not going to give you butter because they don't have it to give to you. Now, I have told you all of these items about etiquette and all of the items that I use and things that I've read and watching other people eat. But let me tell you what happened the other day. I had a friend of mine, Vic, come from California, and he is a pharmacist, and he works with a gentleman whose daughter lives in Paris. And so he decided that he was going to invite the daughter and her boyfriend to have dinner with us. And we all got together. Well, she's been here probably 8 or 9 years, and she speaks beautiful French. He is from France. He's from the Burgundy region. Well, I'll be darned if we didn't get all of our meals and they started sharing. Do you want a bite of this? Do you want to see what my steak tastes like? Oh, these are puffy potatoes. You're going to love them. And I thought, guys, I just did a video on French etiquette and you're just blowing it all apart. And we just laughed about it because I guess it's not everywhere. But if I were you and I were coming to Paris and I was having my dinner or my lunch, I would use what I told you. Because I don't think what they did is the norm. I've never seen anyone share food or offer to share a shrimp with the other person or whatever. Now that's another thing, my last little thing. You can ask your server, or tell your server, I guess, that you want to share a meal. Because sometimes the meals are quite big, or maybe you've had quite a bit to eat for lunch and you don't want a lot for dinner. You can tell them that you want to share it. And they don't care, but just tell them up front. Don't start sharing it, after you get it. Just tell them up front, and they don't mind. They would rather you do that than to waste the food. And I don't think they're asking for a lot. It's just different, and it's just little bitty things that you can learn and do and look around and see what everybody else is doing. I have never seen anyone take food from their plate and offer it to you on a fork. Now, I've seen that in the United States all the time. In fact, Jen and I used to do that all the time. Her dad and I never did because he didn't like that. But anyway, we did it all the time, and I think that's an American thing, but it certainly is not French. So when you go to a restaurant, remember, use your fork and knife. No elbows, hands. Ask for tap water if you want. They will put it in a glass. Don't drink the water out of a bottle. If they give you something like an orange drink or a 7-Up or a Coke, please don't drink it out of the bottle. Pour it into the glass and drink it like that. Let them know we have a few manners. Let them know that when we come from the United States, we know what we're doing. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you've enjoyed this. And maybe I've given you a few ideas that you didn't know. And then if you have a few ideas that I didn't talk about and that I'm not aware of, please list below in the comments. I thank you so very much. Trust me, I thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, I just don't know why. I did have a lady the other day say, Janice, how do you subscribe? And I said, you go to my video and you see that little black button that says subscribe, you just push it. It takes that much time. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love all of you. Au revoir. Mwah.